Congressman Andy Barr from Kentucky. Andy, good to see you. Our state congressman, good to see you. We served together. You come from the greatest committee in the House, the Financial Services Committee. We both served on that. Listen, you work on this ESG issue. What's your take on what Ron DeSantis is doing in Florida to make sure that his state's not investing in ESG funds?
Well, I applaud Governor DeSantis and other state officials around this country who are pushing back against ESG and the allocation of capital according to politics as opposed to maximizing investor returns. Here, the governor is prioritizing the fiduciary obligation of the plan, which is to maximize investment returns. And whenever these retirement plans, whether they're in the public sector or the private sector, invest based on these environmental, social, and governance metrics, they are subordinating financial performance to politics. And in Kentucky, we have real leadership in the state treasurer's office with Allison Ball, who requested an advisory opinion from our Republican Attorney General Daniel Cameron about whether or not the Kentucky retirement system could allocate capital according to ESG factors as opposed to maximizing financial returns. And General Cameron was very clear. He said this would violate the fiduciary obligation of the plan, and therefore in Kentucky, just like now in Florida, ESG is no longer the mode of capital allocation. That's a good thing for state employees.
Well, it is, because, you know, if I believe in oil and gas and coal and guns, and my state forces me to give into that retirement fund, but will invest in, say, a BlackRock that invests in an ESG fund, that money doesn't go to support oil and gas and guns. And so my question for you, Andy, is obviously great work by Ron DeSantis. Anything that you guys are doing in the House that could actually partner with him to push back on ESG?
Absolutely. The goal of the House Financial Services Committee and Congress should be to push back hard against this Securities and Exchange Commission rulemaking, this 534-page monstrosity,
yes,
which will steer retail investors into higher fee, less diversified, and lower return investments, these ESG funds, which again underperform non-ESG funds, especially in a tech sell-off like we've just seen over the last 6 months. So we've got a whole portfolio of legislation that would push back against the Securities and Exchange Commission rulemaking, which would impose huge new liabilities on public companies, and again hurt, not protect investors, but hurt protectors by politicizing the allocation of capital. And one of the bills in our portfolio is my legislation. I call it the ESG Act, but it stands for Ensuring Sound Guidance Act. This would amend the Investment Advisors Act and ERISA, because a lot of this is in retirement, in the retirement space, retirement investment space. And we would require investment advisors and ERISA plan sponsors to prioritize financial returns over and ahead of non-pecuniary factors like ESG. This would hold investment advisors, asset managers, and ERISA plan sponsors accountable to focus on financial performance instead of politics.
Andy Barr, common sense, it looks like still exists in Congress. Looks like great legislation. And listen, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it, Sean.
All right, John.